boogity, boogity, get up on your feet.
Well, hello again. Hello, America. Welcome to the DW Show. What a great weekend we had in Daytona. I hope you agree. The weather wasn't bad. Had a few thunder showers along the way. Oh, I know. You didn't tune in to hear the hippy-dippy weatherman give you a weather report. You tuned in because you want to talk racing. Well, I've been studying my media guide, and I got some information for you. David Reagan won the race in Daytona on Saturday night. Did you know that? First time winner. Third one this year. You know, when the season started, I had this idea that this was going to be the year of the underdog. And if you think about it, with Keselowski winning and Regan Smith winning and Trevor Bayne winning and now David Reagan winning, this has been a little bit of a different kind of a year. Some guys that we wouldn't have anticipated winning have won big races. You know, you got a first-time winner that wins Daytona, you got a first-time winner that wins the Southern 500, and you got a first-time winner that wins the Firecracker race in July. So who would have thought that? And so with those guys having won, you would have thought by now that Tony Stewart would have won, or Jeff Burton would have won, or any number of guys that you would expect to have won a race by now. Oh, I know. I'm leaving out the most obvious. Dale Jr. You would have thought that he would have won a race by now. Because how long has it been? We're halfway through the season, and we've been saying for pretty much the last 10 or so races, next week Dale Jr. wins. Next week Dale Jr. wins. Let me tell you about Dale Jr. just real briefly. You know I love the kid. He's my June bug. But the last 3 weeks have been disastrous. He's had terrible finishes. He was third in the points, nipping up there right at almost thinking he might take the lead in the points, which would have sent the whole racing community in an uproar. But now, after 3 bad weeks, he's fallen from 3rd to 7th. And here's my problem. And here's his problem too. You know, he slips outside that top 10 and he doesn't get a win. There's a possibility he can miss the chase. And there's a number, he's not in it by himself. I mean, the same thing could happen to Tony Stewart. That win by David Reagan Saturday night shook things up big time. And you got a guy right outside the top 20, Brad Keselowski, with a win. If he slips into the top 20, there's going to be some big names that could fool around here and miss the chase because they don't have any wins. But you know what I like about it? That means they're going to have to start gambling. Guys that don't have wins are going to have to start taking more chances. And they're going to have to do it strategy in the pits. They're going to have to do it on the track. They're going to have to do whatever they got to do to try to get a win if they're going to make it into the chase. Now remember, let's just say that everybody from 10th to 20th, let's say all of them had a win. You go by points. Whoever, the guy that's the highest in the points, who would be 11th, if he had a win, he'd be in. Guy that's 12th, he had a win, he'd be in. Everybody else would be out. And so, everybody with wins, if everybody had one, the guys from 10th to 20th, the highest in the points, that's who gets in. Now, if you had 2 wins, and you were in the 10th to 20th point standing, you're a lock. That's almost a lock. And so that's the way this thing's going to work. And who would have thought when the season started, you know, we talked about the point system. Well, we're going to do it this way because it's going to be simpler. Simple is not what really matters. It was that wild card. I think people overlooked that at the beginning of the year. Nobody really put a lot of thought into what the wild card might mean. And in fact, from about 8th to 20th right now, that's where the race is. Guys that are from about 8th on up, they're going to make the chase. They got wins, they got points, and they're going to make the chase. And so it doesn't really matter who's in the top 10. Because, you know, when we get to Richmond, they're going to wipe all that out anyway, and everybody will be the same. And so who's in the top 10 right now doesn't really matter. It's the next 10 is where the battle is. And the battle is going to be the 2 wild cards, or can you bump your way into the top 10 in points? So that's what we're going to be watching over the next 9 weeks. And it should be pretty interesting to see how it all shakes out. Daytona was a great race. I don't understand why you don't like the racing you saw at Daytona. The racing you saw at Talladega. In February, you know, we went down and we had this two-car tandem thing going on. And you had to have a partner, and it was kind of new and different, and we'd never seen it before. And wow, how's that work? And gee, I don't know if I like it or not, and blah, 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 blah. And then we get to Talladega, and it's some more of the same. But, folks, 8 cars coming across the start-finish line at Talladega, and the winner is decided by 2 1,000ths of a second. You can't even blink your eyes that fast. Watch. I took a second. My point is, this kind of racing is exciting. I mean, look at the finish to the race Saturday night. It was going along pretty well, and it always does until we have a caution late. You're going to bunch these cats up, and they're going to do everything they can to get to the front because the sand in the hourglasses run out. And so you're going to make desperate moves. You know what I'm saying? Desperate people do desperate things. Well, that's what happens at the end of a race when you get everybody all bunched up. But it still makes for an exciting finish. People say, oh, well, I don't like that Matt Kenseth, you know, he pushed David Reagan to the finish. They're teammates and they're on the same team, and that's team orders, and I don't like team orders. Folks, that could have been David Reagan and Dale Jr. That could have been David Reagan and Jimmy Johnson. It really doesn't matter who's pushing you. All you're doing is trying to get the best possible finish you can. Matt Kenseth's a smart guy. If he jumps out of line, he might finish 15th. He might have gotten in that wreck. So you're going to get the best finish you can. There are no team orders. You go into a race with a kind of a plan, kind of a strategy, but it never works out. You don't know when the caution is going to fall. You don't know what's going to happen to your buddy. You don't know anything. It's a race. It's one of those things that's perpetual. It just happens. And you can't orchestrate it. And what you have to do is be able to anticipate and adjust. That's what great drivers do. You anticipate wrecks, maybe avoid them, and then whatever happens, whatever the circumstances are, you adjust. That's the way racing is. And so I don't understand why you say you don't like that two-car tandem stuff. There were 16 cars, I counted them, 16 cars that were in the lead pack, pushing, shoving, moving. And you know what? Up until the last few laps of that race, I thought the two-car tandem is safer because you never see anybody block. You just see these guys coming, you know they're coming really fast, and you don't get in their way, or you know you'll get run over. So I think there's a lot more advantages than disadvantages, and I think if you give it time, I think it'll grow on you, and I don't think they're going to change it. But if they were going to make a change, the drivers tell me that the only problem they have with it is you can't see over that rear spoiler. You can't even see over the top of it. You're just kind of looking straight at it. And so what's causing it? What's keeping them from being able to see? The spoiler. So what would you do? Well, you could shorten it. Or back in the day, you know, we used to run those spoilers at 10 degrees, flat out like that right there, laid down. And that's what we raced them. And that made, you know, the cars were hard to drive, but that spoiler wouldn't be in your way. I promise you that. So don't change a whole bunch of other things. If the spoiler's a problem, let's figure out how to change that. Change the other aero parts on the car, maybe put that fin back on top of it. Whatever you got to do, doesn't matter. But don't worry, just fix it. If the spoiler is in my way and I can't see over the spoiler, work on the spoiler, not the rest of the car. You understand what I'm saying? Fix the problem, not all the other little ancillary things that go along with it. Enough about Daytona. Guess where we're going? Ha ha. My old Kentucky home. Ah, the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. Finally, got a cup race for my racetrack. My favorite racetrack. Can't wait to get there. I want to see those cup cars. That racetrack makes the best, it's the best 1.5 mile racetrack that you'll go to. And I didn't make that up. You asked every driver and they'll tell you. There's better racing on that Kentucky Speedway than any of the other 1.5 mile racetracks. You can run 3 wide there if you want to. I've seen great truck races, I've nationwide races, IndyCar races. There have been 70,000 fans in the stands for standalone nationwide races, for standalone truck races, for IndyCar. The fans in Kentucky and Northern Ohio, they're hungry for racing, and we're going to feed them. We're going to feed them Saturday night. with the premier series of all time in the whole wide world, the Sprint Cup Series. So I'm excited. I know you are. It took 11 years, but we got her done. A lot of people put a lot of work and effort into that place. They're maybe not going to reap the benefits of it, but the fans are, and that's really that's what matters the most. The fans are going to get to see what they've been longing for. People have bought tickets to that place ever since it's been open, anticipating what's going to happen Saturday night. A couple little points for you. Joey Logano is the guy to watch, I think. He's 3 for 3 in the Nationwide Series. 3 poles and 3 wins. He's perfect at Kentucky. Another guy to keep an eye on. I don't know that he can win the race, but I think he'll probably put on a pretty good show. David Gilliland. Remember 3 or 4 years ago when he won the Nationwide race and that put him on the fast track to stardom? Well, don't be surprised between the Thursday night race in trucks, Friday night in Nationwide, and Saturday night in Cups, somebody is going to figure that joint out better than everybody else and rise to the occasion, and that might be the next superstar in this Cup Series. Kentucky is a wonderful place. The track is beautiful. It's 1,500 acres. Great camping, great parking, great everything. Here's the other thing. Keep an eye on Dale Jr. in the '88 car, Mountain Dew. It's a retro paint scheme from back in '81, '82. I'm excited about that. And my brother Michael, he's driving his Hall of Fame car. It's got a congratulations DW on the Hall of Fame. It's got a, I don't know if it's a picture of the family or me, but there's something on the hood I think is pretty cool. And one other thing, tune in to Speed on Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern. Mountain Dew put together a special, a documentary sort of kind of deal, Welcome Home DW. I think you'll enjoy it. We went back to Owensboro, kind of kicked around town there, and relive some old memories. I think you'll enjoy that. So 3 o'clock Eastern on Speed. Dale Jr. 88 car, Michael in the 15 car. It's orange and white, and let me tell you why it's orange and white. That was the color of my car. That's the way he's got his car painted, just like my car was in 1975 when I won my first Cup race here in Nashville, Tennessee. So a lot of symmetry going on this weekend. The governor and the first lady are going to be there. Every dignitary in Kentucky is going to be there. Congratulations to Bruton Smith. Thank you for being a man of your word. You said you'd buy the track, you'd bring us a race. You did. You're a friend of the fans, Bruton Smith, and you're a big hero of mine too. So thank you for bringing us a race.